Hey Food Slayers, it's Michelle here from foodslaying.com, and thank you for listening into the podcast. Thank you for sharing episodes. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe to this channel so that you can get extra content that I put out that's not in the podcast. So this week's episode is about honey. We're talking about honey. We're talking about honey laundering and fake honey. Now, lots of people have seen these kind of honey bear bottles in the grocery store. Maybe you've bought one. This is one that I bought several years ago at this point. And, you know, I know it's in reverse, but you can see that it's Smitty Bee honey, right? And I was curious whether or not the honey that's in my cabinet was real, because there is a thing that is called fake honey, and it's out there, and it's in the world, and it's on the grocery shelves, and you may have some in your cabinet right now. And so in this week's episode, we're talking about that, and we're talking about how honey is getting dumped in the U.S. market and all over the world from exporters and producers out of Asia, specifically China. China is the biggest exporter of honey right now, cheap honey, adulterated honey, and it's pretty diabolical what's happening. And you'll have to listen into the podcast. But I'm showing you this bottle because one of the ways that you can figure out whether your honey is real, and I don't know if you can see that, but it's crystallized in there. And this honey is a couple of years old. And that's one of the ways that you can see that this is real, 100% pure honey. There's also other tests that you can do to test your honey and see if it's real. There's a paper test, there's a burn test, there's a water test, there's a finger test, and you can just, get on YouTube and, well, you're already on YouTube, aren't you? So you can just search for, how do I know if my honey is fake? And there's lots of people out there who've done videos and will show you how to test your honey. The one thing that I wanted to kind of point out here, and I know it may be really hard to see, is the label. One of the biggest problems in the honey industry is a labeling problem. And it's labeling for the country of origin, it's labeling for, or the state of origin, it's labeling for, whether it's a grade of honey, meaning is it a grade A honey, is it grade B, is it, where is it coming from? The problem is bigger than, just what's in your bottle. It's a labeling problem, because a lot of honey packers, they buy adulterated honey from, importers. They import honey, I should say, from exporters, international exporters, and they just put it in these little bottles and little jars, and then they slap a label on it, and they go through all this rigmarole to, label it as honey, and then they sell it to you. And they make a lot of money, and in some cases, there's zero honey in here. Okay? So that's a problem. It's a problem for people like me when I purchase something and I spend my money with a brand or product. I want to know that what I'm getting is real. It's what it says it is on the label. But if people aren't required, if honey packers aren't required, and corporations who are importing this honey are not required to tell us where they're getting their honey from, whether it's been adulterated with other syrups, other sugar syrups that are not being detected, right? Then we're not getting the benefits that we think we're getting from real, pure honey. And that's what this episode this week is about. So I hope that you tune in to learn more about the adulteration of honey and honey laundering, because it is an $80 million fraud. It's really a $360 million fraud, because that's how much the market is worth. It's worth, I think it's 367 million. I could be wrong. It could be 387 million, but you'll have to listen into the podcast to hear the real number. So that's it. That's where I'm going to leave this. I hope you listen into this week's podcast on honey laundering. You can listen in on foodslaying.com, and I look forward to your comments in the comments below. Is the honey in your cabinet real? How do you know? And if you don't know and you're not sure, what are you going to do about it? That's the question, isn't it? I know what I'm going to do about it, and I talk about it in the podcast, so listen in this Friday. And until the next time, remember to eat clean, eat healthy, and love your food, and I'll see you on the other side of that plate. Ciao.